Can't imagine where all that moisture is coming from.
You must have forgot that.
Yeah.
Last summer.
Oh, golly. And we'll have fun. Oh, we swapped Bob for Terry because
See
Terry's
that.
the president. So he sits at the right hand of the poobah. That's just scary.
There's another court, whatever.
And so here you go.
Yep.
Yeah. God, give us grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, may you guide us as we serve our community. And with recent developments, health-wise, deaths in personal family lives, may you remember those who have suffered loss and suffered hardship, and may we keep them in our prayers as we live day to day. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call?
Lovins,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Wheelan,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Whittick.
Here. Yes. Okay, as you can see, Beth is not able to be with us this evening. We postponed last week so that, in the hope that she could be. For those of you that may not know, there is some health issues in the family that she needs to attend to, and I've definitely tried to impress upon her that that is first and utmost of the importance, priority level. So we have Peggy sitting in to take notes, and hopefully that will work out well for everyone concerned. There may be a hiccup here or there, but we'll do. So, previous minutes.
Entertain a motion to accept the previous minutes.
Second. Any questions or concerns? Roll call. Did
Whittick.
you not hear that?
She didn't catch the second
one.
one.
Okay, Whittick,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheelan,
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
and Blevins.
Yes.
Financial report, I'm going to guess if we have questions on it. I'm not sure there's going to be an answer for that, but it's something that we can note and get a question answered later on, if there is. I have none. Okay.
I did,
Make a motion that we accept the finance report.
Second.
Roll call?
Beck,
Yes.
Wheelan,
Yes.
Blevins,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
and Fox.
Yes.
Sperling.
Yes.
Communications. Any council members with communications? I know I've got several, so,
I have one before you're done with communications.
okay. Let me get to them. All right, the first one is very nice. It is a card from Joan Roofer. This says, "Thank you so much for the lovely remembrances of my years on council. I will continue to work for the village of Stryker in a different way because it is the best." And signed Joan. So if anyone would like to see the card, it's here. I think that's very nice of her. The next one that I have is from 4 County Schools, and on February 28th, 2014, it has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education. The proclamation states that our society is rapidly reflecting profound economic and technical changes in the structure and nature of work, thereby placing new and additional responsibilities on our educational system. Whereas career and technical education provides Americans with a school to careers connection and is the backbone of a strong, well-educated workforce which fosters productivity in business and industry and contributes to America's leadership in the international marketplace. And whereas career and technical education gives high school students experience in practical, meaningful applications of basic skills such as reading, writing, and mathematics, thus improving the quality of their education, motivating potential dropouts, and giving all students leadership opportunities in their fields and in their communities. And whereas career and technical education offers individuals lifelong opportunities to learn new skills, which provide them with career choices and potential satisfaction. And whereas the ever-increasing cooperative efforts of career and technical educators, business, and industry stimulate the growth and vitality of our local economy and that of the entire nation by preparing graduates for career fields forecast to experience the largest and fastest growth in the next decade. Therefore, I, Daniel Hughes, Mayor of Village of Stryker, do hereby proclaim February 28, 2014 as Career and Technical Education Month. So, wanted to read that. I think that is important. We have a former member of 4 County teaching staff here.
Hello.
Hello. And
Just to warn you guys, there's some ice out there. I just slipped on some, so anyway,
just wanted to state that I think that is an important educational opportunity for our students in this area and make that happen. The other 2 items that I have from communications, I guess could either go here or in the other, but I think I'll bring it here. That way we can get it rolling on it. I received a couple of people that stopped at my home reference utility bills and hardships in paying those. I had a chance to discuss with Mrs. St. John and Administrator St. John our different requirements and details that go into that. Their issues, one of them, the issue was that they had been late enough that they get a $60 extra charge on their utility bill when they're late the 3rd time. And their basic thing was, if I can't afford to pay it in the first place, I certainly can't afford the $60 extra on top of it. So that was one. Then I had another one that also just wanted to understand they received just a door hanger that their bill was past due, and I don't know exactly what the door hanger says, but basically if it's not paid, they'll receive a shut off. And that was during that real cold snap that we had. And they were concerned of having their water shut off during that time. So I told them both that I would bring it up at the next council meeting, which is today. And I thought, if you wanted to, it's 925 in our ordinance books. It goes through each and every section of that. Go ahead and review it, see what you think, see if you think what we have is fair, if we need to tweak it. We do have the ability as a village to work with the individuals, you know, if they are in hardship, to set up payment plans. We went over our system, and she feels that there's a chance in the system to set up payment plans and stuff if that works. But I did want everyone just to, at your convenience, take a look at it, see if you think that's something, if we want to leave that $60 fee on top like we've got it currently, maybe we might want to reconsider that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have one, but, and I'm sure there was a reason it's made for 60, but that sounds extreme to me. Maybe you folks feel differently, but take a look at that, bring it back at next meeting and let me know what you think. Okay? That covers it for my communications. Mr. St. John?
Yes, we received a phone call from Carol Feehan and John Pearson requesting that it be noted that the village forces did a good job on keeping Washington Street open in view of all the west winds and stuff. And so we told her that I would bring that in communications. We also had a couple of mailbox, an alley, and a downtown issue during the last snow, which were addressed. And that's it.
Okay. And I'm sure others may have, I've received some snow questions, not complaints, about why we do this or why we do that. And most of the people were very understanding afterwards, you know, so if you receive those as council members, you know, overall I can, especially in Williams County, I think we do a pretty good job of keeping the roads clear. Yeah, and, you know, if they do have concerns that after speaking to you, they don't feel they got the answers they wanted, if they want to contact me or Administrator St. John, either one of us would be more than happy to talk to them.
If I may, the only one that I did hear was the question of the fire hydrants. You know, a lot of those are buried.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And,
address that.
Okay, good. But that was the only one, and they thought done an excellent job, but they were concerned because.
Do you want to address that now? I know you were going to later, but.
Yes, I can address that.
Might as well.
I spoke to Dan about it, and Bob might remember back in the day, we actually stuck some re-rods a long time ago to
I
kind
remember
of
that, yeah.
help remember, there's where they are. In winters past, it hasn't been an issue, we about lost all our re-rod.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere
Right.
further than that, but
That's fine.
we have just a handful of, and we have 171 hydrants to my last recollection. But it's the responsibility of the landowner to keep the hydrants clear, and I was gonna put that in my administrator's report, because a lot of people don't know that. Just like weeds, you know, if you have a stop sign in your right-of-way area that's adjacent to your property, you have to weed whack that and, you know, keep that visible. But that being said, this has been such a tremendous snow, and so many piles and everything, that I spoke with Dan, Mayor Hughes on this, and I said, I'd like to send the guys out and expose at least the tops, you know, of the real bad ones. So we went through and did, I don't know how many, but quite a few. And then there was some that, you know, were just the top sticking out, so we left them alone. And after this snow, it looks like things are gonna start settling back down, and we should be in good shape, but it's something that we haven't done in the past. I think even sometimes, one time I remember one year, the fire department actually went out and helped some of the residents. But again, you know, it's like the weed thing, and like you gotta shovel your sidewalks, and I mean, there's some sidewalks that are this thick and
Yes.
plowed over, and even at the schools, they're about this tall, but it, you know, it's unusual circumstances when, so I think things have been taken that into consideration, but, so that's what we did.
And that's basically the answer right here. My thought that was the case, but it's about, I'll mention it, but and I could understand the concern, certainly, I mean,
Well, these guys gotta know where the hydrants are.
but they got, yeah, they
They
gotta
gotta
know where it is.
And in the dark, some of
Yeah.
those just had the little top
Yes.
cap, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else? Thank you. That will bring us to citizens. Mr. Fox, did you want to say anything?
Hello, I came to a meeting earlier actually last month, and right now I'm just doing some, well, I'm actually participating in this meeting for my senior government. I am going to Stryker High School, and, I'll be graduating this year. So I'm just trying to get my community service in for senior government. By the way, my dad's on council too, so
Okay.
it's a lot easier to get here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to committee reports, which we all know we had two record retention meetings scheduled. You did receive a section in your packet from Ms. Rediger that she received, reference her questions. It lists those that must be on the committee, which are the chair, the fiscal officer, the village solicitor, and a citizen of the village. I will let you know that I received several recommendations on that, and one of those recommendations was Patsy Mueller, and I spoke with her and she accepted to serve on that committee. For those others that I may have spoken to at the time, I hadn't picked anyone that still would want to participate, they are more than welcome to do so. It is a public, open to the public meeting, and so they are recommended to come to those if they so choose. It would be nice if we could get one of those initial meetings in relatively quickly. I'm not 100% sure as to Beth's availability, so I was thinking, and this is only a thought, that if we wanted to set up a tentative meeting, maybe we could do that tonight and then check with her to see what her availability would be, or do we want to wait, since it's only 3 weeks away, for the next council meeting?
That, but also if, as far as I'm sure, if we could ask her if she has any idea when would be, and then we'll just work around.
Okay.
I could do that. That way, if that, I hate, in her situation, I hate to give her a date and then she's gonna feel obligated.
Okay.
I understand.
All right, well, we will make contact with her when I can and see what we've got, and what works best for her. So, I don't believe we had any other, I mean, we just had January, so
Yeah.
that was everything that we had that I'm aware of.
Oh, we were gonna do judiciary as well. Do we wanna set that up now?
Sure.
Under
Okay.
committee report?
I'm good anytime.
And that's
Monday's best
for
for
basic
you.
review, right?
Yeah, just like you asked us to review
Yep.
the 925, we're
Be a good chance to do
starting
that.
at the
Just started,
beginning.
yeah.
We're just gonna do the first chapter.
Yeah, we need to
It's our first chapter.
And go through,
We ought to look
Yeah,
at that.
okay.
Well, yeah, we better
That
look
one,
at
yeah.
925.
We'll
okay,
look at that first,
sounds great.
But
whenever.
That's more of a central committee.
Okay.
you wanna go,
Not yet.
Whenever's good for you.
I believe it is in your, yes,
first, you wanna
it's
stay
on your
Monday?
first page.
Yeah, I know it's in the,
1 week, 2 weeks?
Okay.
I did you
First,
Nope,
2 weeks.
you have not.
Should be, I like, I was looking at March. 24th or the 3rd is the next two, and then our council would be the 10th.
Yes, I think, yes, March 10th is our next council meeting.
So, go on the 24th. Next week?
Yeah.
Okay. 6 o'clock, right? Let's leave it to 6. We won't put either one.
6 is better.
That's it, better for Bob. Okay, 6 PM on the 24th?
Yep. Okay. Bring book.
Or laptop.
Good book.
We have someone here that be helpful to go for us.
You're gonna be there for sure, right, Mayor? Mayor goes down committee.
I hope, yeah. It works for me, so as of this second, I would say yes.
Okay. Now, did any of you gentlemen want me there for any reason?
It's open if you'd like to come up.
You get some input, like,
Yes,
you're more than
I'm
welcome.
gonna, if we're gonna get the water bill,
familiar with 925,
yeah.
what that title of that is, but. Oh, that's the water?
Yeah, 925 is the water
Okay.
utility. I think that's more of a general, what do we think
Sure, yeah.
versus, yeah. Any others? Alrighty. Brings us to the administrator report.
Come up with you folks. Nice to meet
So you'll be able to talk to you this way, thank you.
Yeah.
So Rick, did you get the email from,
Yes, I got one, Kevin, we'll watch it.
Zimmerman?
yes. Okay. Well, sometime, hopefully, early as Wednesday, Beth is planning on being back in the office, so exactly what her schedule will be, we're not certain yet, but things are progressing nicely. Excuse me. This new way of putting the meetings on the internet is going to be handled through a company named BGM. It's the people that, actually the lead personnel that helped us put our website together in the first place through Rural Logic. And that's Brett and Dave and company. They wanted to keep their existing customers at least where they did websites and stuff. In fact, they've been maintaining our website as far as the domain name and stuff already. And but we crunched the numbers and we can get a lot more for a lot less, basically. And the entire year is like $2,030 or $2,070. And we're paying now, which I'd have to re-up the contract. I wanted to deal with him to kind of negotiate something earlier. I believe 43. The only difference we're getting with IQM2 is the live streaming. But with this, we'll still get it updated within 3 business days. So I mean, we can see it, and that's really helped because I was helping Beth proofread her minutes, and there was a couple of them that we didn't know who seconded the motions, and I went back several times, and then I saw Mike Fox nod. I mean, I really had to look at each person to see because it was so quiet, and so, you know, it really helps out. And if there's any other questions, like what was said or what needed to be said, but for half the price, we're going to get a lot more. One of the things I think, Rick, that you had always mentioned, and Peggy has been doing it, whatever anyone has gave her for the calendar, but what they'll do is they'll set it up, do the annual hosting, do monthly web updates, an hour's worth every month with this price, and do the monthly video upload, and it'll have a link in it. They've already changed some Peggy has changed some of the council men on this now to update it.
Yeah, all that.
Everything
all
should
the
be on that,
concepts
but
are correct.
we had the old ordinances, if you looked at it last week. Now I believe they're switched over to the Walter Drain that we signed up with. So you'll get all the current, you know, Johnny on it. In fact, with that service, you can go into West Unities or Mount Peters, I believe every village in this county has that same format for the
Yeah.
ordinances. So like this 924, whatever you guys are looking at with the water bill, you can look right on there, zing right down, hit it, and compare, and see just how they do it. So, you know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel or something, and just see if you like theirs better. So I think that's gonna be a good thing. So, that's where we're going with that. I did wanna mention, that our pits, we thought out, oh geez, I don't know how many, gobs and gobs of meter pits, have been frozen. Yeah, I mean, but most of them are right at the ends of driveways and stuff, and why, back in the day, that was put there, but the snow was shoveled off. We'd encourage anyone that, if they can, keep that snow on there, because the frost is a good 3+ feet deep where there's not snow. And if you take this layer of snow off, like in the right-of-ways and stuff, there's no frost. I mean, it's insulated, you can peel it up with a backhoe. We had a main water break at the railroad crossing down here. It was bubbling up, and we only had to shut down 3 places. One was the Stryker's building, which I don't believe was even using it at the time. Used to be the old Stryker LP building. And then one resident, and then the car wash. And I spoke with all the car wash and the resident, and I think Wes in contact with Mr. Eichler, and everybody was good with it. One resident was without water naturally, so we provide her bottled water on our tab. We pay for it, not the village. And she was very happy and able to, you know, understood what had to happen. But we had to bring in a big hydro hose to break through the frost. I mean, backhoe just jump over the top of it. And I met with, I had a meeting right in this office here with the railroad engineer, Tom Lingby, and a voice group of 2 different entities for fiber optics. And we talked all different kinds of how we're gonna get this fixed. Typically, and I think Bob probably can testify to this, railroad boards have casings inside the
Yes,
casings.
they
you know.
are very adamant about case process.
Right, and so I knew we had a problem, but what I couldn't understand was that the water was actually bubbling up in the spur. And so did the casing crack, or, you know, how did this happen? Well, up here, it should run out of the casing if our water main broke because it froze because of the deep penetration, or because we had electrolysis and we have what we call blowholes and whatnot. But, so we're set to dig, we called Lutz and all that, and then came up with an idea that maybe we just put a valve on this side of the railroad for right now and isolate it so we don't have to get into that mess, so we can find out what's really going on. And the engineer at the railroad figured it was encased, but I called Tony Irvis, he used to be our engineer back in the day, and he remembers everything, that's sharp mind. And in fact, he has copies of almost all of our plans. And because he owns them, he gave the village of Stryker 2 copies, and he made old copies of old plans and stuff, and he has a big library of this stuff. And so I asked him if he would research it for us, because when I came to Stryker, our records room was where the fire department used to have the weights. And literally, I don't know if you folks ever been up there, but you open the door and it was just just a pile of paper. And Tony said that back in the day when he was engineer, the guys that would get the plans and the shop drawings and stuff, they'd pitch them. So he said, you know, well, he's got them and for a price. So I asked him if he'd give us a list, and we're going to go through and see what we have. I'd like to buy at least a copy to keep the index dollars now. He tells us that there isn't any casing. And then he went to the council years ago and told them they needed to be cased. But, so there is no casing now. Archibald all has casings now, but those aren't. So that's just a 6-inch right through. We have 2 other crossings
crosses over West Street and over to connect the two, because you know where our water towers are, we won't be able to get to half the town if we don't have crossings to get there, that's how they're fed. So, right now we have two that are working. It's something sooner than later, but I don't know that it's an emergency because we still have two. But when we have one, then it'll become an emergency. But I did ask for some quotes. And so Tom did punch some numbers because he's done numerous ones of that exact stuff. I would think that we, instead of a 6-inch, we could want to bump it up to a 10 because probably won't do it again for another 100 years. So, you know, might as well do it right the first time. But with all the hoops you have to jump through, everything, he's thinking it wouldn't be more than 47,000. So we could not perform it. And that's not counting what small engineering fees would be. It'd be a capital improvement item. In fact, I used this to put the valve in just to make the repair as a capital improvement item. So, you know, saves out of the water funds and stuff like that. But just FYI, that's where we're at. And we're up and running again and good to go. But I don't even really want to talk about it too much more than that until I talk with Beth to see just where we're at and what her projections are. Because like I say, I don't think it's immediate because we do have, you know, a pair, if you will. But it seems like, and I know down Lynn Street, and you can recall this again, Bob, we had like 10 or 11 water leaks. Once we started getting them, the blowholes, like trusses, it's kind of like that time. So we could get another one, but the end is AC, so that should be good. That stuff, it's almost indestructible. So that's where we're at with that. Our EPA variance for our low-level mercury, we finally got that sucker, the book filled out basically and sent it in. And we're already starting to do samples, and I may put that in my report. And for those of you that weren't here, we're in non-compliance for low-level mercury, but it's such a stringent, we used to take it in milligrams per liter, now we're doing it in nanograms. So, you know, in fact, we wouldn't even let Wes take the samples because we have mercury films, because it's that sensitive. But we're working on it, and the end pipe removal would be over $1 million, so that's not an option. And it's right on that same vein. Farrell called, and I spoke with the new environmental compliance officer, and he remembers back in the day, somebody told him, and I recall, it was about 15 years ago, they have a back flush process. And he wanted to know if it's still all right to do this, or were we in compliance? I said, well, I thought this was only a one-time deal that we were doing, and then it was a different setup. I said, but we really need to see the analytical data, what they are back flushing and everything. And they do take the samples. There was a couple parameters that they didn't take that I asked if they could take this next time. So next week, they're actually scheduled for their samples, and we'll put them on that. I told them then we'd review our NPDES permit with their analytical data and make sure that's at least in compliance with what we have. And then I can go ahead and write up a permit, because those aren't blank like a, you know, nice permit or something. And then I'll run it by EPA and make sure that, because we both want to be on the same page, we both want to have it in writing, so there's no misunderstanding until when I'm gone less than 2 years now or whatever, they'll say, well, they got something, well, no, right here it is, so. We're working on that. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna just go, there's a lot of talks about villages and cities and states and stuff with the salt budget, you know, and all the extra overtime and everything else that we've spent. In fact, I got a call Thursday, wasn't able to return until around lunch, and didn't get in, but, from the grind times. But, we have only purchased 1 truckload of salt so far, because we have stockpile. We don't have any expense because of how we've been doing it as far as overtime, very little. I mean, I'm talking just a couple of hours, because we've been utilizing the officers that are on duty and such like that, that's really helped out, keep the roads open, and we've been able to come in without paying the overtime and doing the cleanup and hauling and pushing it back and all the stuff that didn't get done. So, you know, unless something drastic happens, I don't even know if we'll use all this salt, because with the weather looking,
you know, we might be good, but, many years past, and I've always budgeted 100 ton, but in this case, we didn't do that. We put, and kind of stockpiled, if you will, 75 ton, because we knew we had salt left over. And we put a retainer of $750, that even if we didn't buy any, that would keep this, but what that did is that banked us salt, so we've got plenty of salt, and we can get it within a day's notice, so we're fortunate. I saw a lot of people borrowing salt, and the state's not even wondering if they're gonna have enough and so on, but we're in good shape there, and as far as our overtime budget, I think that's almost non-existent. I think the last thing I mentioned for you is, I've been meeting with a contractor a couple times, and it looks like we're gonna have some new housing in Stryker. I can't really say exactly where right now, because I don't know that he's closed for sure, but we were going through all the ordinances and make sure the zoning and, you know, what he wants to do, he can do. But there'd be 4 new units for housing, so I guess growth is growth, and that's a good thing, so I welcome him into the community, and he's excited about getting started and thinks it's a good place to invest into, so that's a bit of good news for change, you know. Now, how about you guys? Any questions, comments, concerns?
The repair on the main, you said 50,000 total?
Yeah,
Or less?
under, yeah. Which, as you know, we can go up to 50,000, just can't do it. Anything more than that, it's different.
And all 3 of them have water, I take it, now?
Oh, yeah. See, what we did was, the line just comes across and makes a connection. We have a loop system, and there's 3 of them that cross the railroad track. Well, the one had a leak in it. We had a valve on the one end, but the next valve that we had was all the way at the road. So, because you don't put valves but when we were talking about doing this, Wes and I are just kind of brainstorming, and we said, you know what we need to do is when we get this sucker fixed, put a valve right there, so if it ever happens again, we can just isolate that. And then we thought, why don't we just put a valve there, you know, for right now, and then sit back and, you know, let the funds build, if you will. So that's what we did. But yeah, everybody's got water, because see, once we got the valve in, then we were able to open up the valve at the road, and then that backfed it to the car wash and stuff. And they've got automatic pumps that every so often, so they don't freeze and that whatnot. Now, I don't know, I haven't been able to talk to Leon recently. I talked to him all the way up to a turn on, but I said, if you had any damages or something like that, you know, let us know. He has not called me back, but I thought, well, he maybe needed time to check, but I'm gonna call him and just see if maybe we're good with this or what. I don't think if there was any damage, that didn't appear from my limited knowledge of car washes, that we didn't see anything when we turned it on, a spraying or anything, so.
What's the proposed crossing material? Is it throw polyethylene?
No, it's as per their spec. I can't tell you right off, I got the data in my head.
Okay. Are they gonna require a casing, or is there a way to size that?
Well, I don't know. What we'll do is we'll have Bryce, give him a call and say, the guy that I talked to, Brian, it didn't appear like it was really a stringent process. Now, I don't know what luck you've had with it. Your gas is right next to it.
Yeah, our material is different than water.
Right. Now, we'll use the Chinese finger routine and shove them through, and, you know, they'll be all sealed. And we'll have to use a boring company to come in and do the bore.
We attempt to avoid casings. Modern construction practices, not all railroads are open to that. So
Mhm.
it takes months and months of negotiation and exchange of engineering.
Right. And I'm not sure, like I say, without, just talking to the local engineer, they're good, but you know how it permit process, so it's more of an information thing to the council at this time. We're not gonna go, definitely not gonna put a water line. They were gonna let us dig, you know, but I'm glad we didn't have to, yeah.
Any other questions? Gary, there's a there's a car that sits on, maybe not right time for this question, there's a car that sits on 191 Linton Street.
Yeah, about snowed in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
does that become our authority, or is that a state? It hasn't moved all winter, has it?
I don't know, that's a general, and we have the authority to have the cars off the roads. In fact, there's signs, I believe, on Main Street. I don't think there's any on the other side, but the mayor can request at any time, all cars off the road, put them in the parking lot, whatever, so we can remove. Everybody's been good, we've been able to, whether they go to work or whatever, we sneak in and take a scoop when they leave, and, but you're right on that. I guess I'd have to refer that to JR, what,
If it needs to be moved to plow, we can move it.
well, I think it should be moved.
Been there all winter, hadn't moved. I got it snow tonight.
Yeah, well, we'll drive around it again tonight, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We're not. I'll have it moved tomorrow.
Well, make contact with them, see what the issue is, see how soon they
Yeah.
can, if it's sat there that long. You know, see how, what the means are of getting it removed.
Okay.
No, it's not, mine are all stacked in the driveway, I've got glacier, I've got this creeping glacier of sludge, I call it EPA.
No,
lot, and
I don't
it's
think it's
really
abandoned.
frustrating to me.
Possibility it might not run.
It's moving down
And
the
if
side.
that's the case, it needs to be moved.
That kind of plumbing and stuff.
Jump
Yeah, I
vehicle.
talked to him.
What do you say?
Yeah, it's 3/4 buried right now, and wait till
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Have fun digging it out.
It's clean water either.
Anything else?
Thank you.
That brings us to village officials. Lieutenant Treese is going to fill in for Chief Schlosser, who's, as we know, had a recent death in the family, and it's taken a little bit of time to.
A lot for you guys. Just, we had, I believe 88 reports for this last month. 28 traffic warnings, 6 citations, 1 adult arrest, 3 juvenile arrests. Things have been kind of picking up traffic-wise with the amount of snow that we've had, the amount of accidents we've had. One thing that I wanted to make everyone aware of is the snow piles. And I've already addressed it with Gary about around the intersections, people having to inch their vehicles a little bit farther out because the snow's piled up. We had an accident the other day on Road Street, that was the issue, but it was in the driveway. They're responsible for keeping their driveways and everything, but she backed out, couldn't see the vehicle coming, there was a collision. So that's one thing that we wanna keep the citizens aware of, that it's their responsibility to keep their snow piles down around their property so that they can see to get out, so it don't cause more accidents. We recently promoted Jason Sprague to sergeant. He's got a wealth of knowledge to pass on to the junior officers. He's a pretty good guy. We've taken advantage of some training offered by Owens Community College. They put on a little consortium for a flat fee. Normally, training sessions is about $100 per officer, no matter where you go. And for $300, it allows us to train for the whole year, rather than paying $100 per officer to go for an 8-hour period. So that will save us quite a bit of money. And then Steve wanted me to let everybody know that he really appreciates, the time that people took out to come see his father and his time of passing, and that, he takes comfort in having support and everything from the community. So, that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Can you expand a little bit on the breaking and enterings that are listed? Is that,
We have had, I don't know if you guys know that when the solders was broken into, RNS lines was broken into. We kind of have a feeling that it's the same people, and it's led down to, we just had a break and enter at the old Derby Cone. don't think that's the person who's been involved, but it's juvenile. But, the people who were involved with the RNS lines and, solders, we believe, could have been an inside job, just because there was we haven't had any signs of forced entry other than the window at RNS lines.
Contents taken or not?
There's been a lot of stuff taken from solders and RNS lines, but as far as the other B&Es, which ones are we referring to?
Just
Just
in
all-
general.
Yeah, just recently, there's been a lot, and we've been busy. So I would encourage people to keep their stuff locked up if they can. Vehicles, springtime coming around, people will be out walking around. We've had problems with that in the past, people going into vehicles. Anything else?
Any questions for Lieutenant Treese? Okay.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks a lot.
That brings us to other, and I have one biggie on that, biggie in my eyes anyhow. With our fiscal officer being off, I don't know if the rest of you realize it, but Lori Rook from Holiday City was also a fiscal officer and trained in the new system that we have installed with Beth, has been coming in on her own time, doing what she can to fill in, entering data, and making sure that we're running, basically, that bills are being paid, payroll's being paid, kind of a godsend. And I spoke with her this week, trying to impress upon her our appreciation, and I really believe that it's something that we needed to publicly thank her for, because she refused absolutely any compensation of any sort. I'm not sure that's acceptable, but as we were trying to discuss it, it was becoming a one-sided conversation. And so I thought, well, at least acknowledge her participation here, and then I still think we should do something for her, because she's put in quite a bit of time, and it is her own time to make sure that.
I would agree with that, and I really think, I came up here, I could come up here when I found out about the best situation, and, yeah, we're very competent, and we talked quite a little bit. I, for one, really appreciate her, however we end up doing it, but for filling in.
Absolutely.
Nobody had to do.
She did not have to, this was on her own doing, so I think that states volumes right there. So,
She spent hours and hours, even prior to Beth's situation, helping Beth
you know,
transfer all of Beth Clemens' data into their system, and they're both adequately trained, so they work together trying to get this up and running for the first of the year. I mean, they stayed till 6, 7 o'clock many times, and Beth would call me at the house and say, hey Gary, what about this, blah, 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 and are you guys still at the office? And they started at 8 o'clock, so Lori has done super friendly.
yeah, I made the quip, one time when I walked in and they were here, and I said, wow, I didn't realize when we hired Beth, we got 2 for 1. I said, that's great. Unknowingly that it really was going to kind of translate out to that.
How could we do something?
That's a good question. I mean, I've got some ideas, but I'm not sure what would be appropriate and if she would accept it if we did.
The council has by statute, the ability to, approve gifts, meals, and other things. It's, if you recall, we learned that on the donut episode.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
so if council, comes up with something that they feel, is appropriate, they can do that. That being said, I don't know what's appropriate that she would
Exactly.
take. It will not be it cannot be a check, because I spoke with her on that I said, you're more than happy, we're happy to pay you as a subcontractor, whatever, I have the power to at least say, yeah, please do that, and, hire a contractor, whatever, and we could not get by without her, but that being said, she is doing this for Beth, and as a friendship, and she just absolutely won't do any of the thing, but,
She said she'd be very offended
yeah.
if we tried to pay her.
I realized that after our conversation. How, what?
Children? I don't know.
Yes, she does have children.
How old?
I don't know, I think they're in school, because I think one of them is Beth's oldest son's age, 'cause I know they all played together and kind of grew up together, you know.
Maybe a weekend or two or something, or somewhere? With the family? Yeah.
Like a water,
The water
water
park
park
or-
or something like that, no,
Great,
that's,
Great Wolf, or
yeah, something.
whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
It's been under a couple of names.
Actually, if you could go through and kind of figure out roughly how many hours she's been contributing, I know it's high,
Yeah,
but that way we have some type of baseline.
okay.
You know, 'cause if we're looking at a 3 hours going to Toledo, it doesn't match. But with the hours that we currently know she's putting in, it would make sense. So it would be an easy.
Yeah, but if she's doing that for 3 hours, her effort, it's still worth going to,
Or wherever, yeah.
Wherever.
I'm saying a one-time 3-hour thing.
Well,
See what I mean? I mean, it has to correlate. So I think it's tax us as a village, go through it and get an idea about how many hours we're talking. I'm sure it's going to be high.
Joey, what she does, she's been coming in like payroll week,
Mhm.
okay, she does the payroll, and then she'll do all the bills. So she's here probably, 6, 7 hours? Then she'll come back in 2 weeks.
Oh, I have no doubt it's high.
Right.
I have no doubt it's high.